Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at Jonny Lipsham Studios.co.uk in Edinburgh, in Scotland, United Kingdom, capital of the world, etc., etc. Hope everybody is doing okay and has had a great weekend. I have had a very busy one, albeit a very nice, different kind of busy than the kind of busy that I normally experience every day of the week. This has been a totally different kind of busy, and it's been great fun. I've been able to, thanks to the fact that we are here in Scotland, we are gradually, step by step, inching our way out of lockdown. And the fact that that has happened has meant that for the first time in 121 days, I have been able to go and see my parents, which has been awesome. So we went and we spent all day Saturday, and then we stayed overnight, which was great because we're allowed to do that now here. You can't do that down in England yet, or in Wales, but you can do that here in Scotland. So it is awesome, and we immediately took full advantage, and it was great. We had a fantastic time. Probably had a little bit too much wine, but it was nice nonetheless. It was the first time I've seen my parents since I started working for Presonus, so we finally actually got to celebrate that, which is great. Now, before we get started tonight, you guys have been very, very quick opening your wallets, and I want to make sure that I get to everybody who has donated so far, which is awesome. Thank you so much. So, Bobby Booth was the first with $5. Bobby, you are awesome. But we know that. We know you are awesome because you are here every week without fail. And I thank you very much for you being here and, also donating $5 is awesome as well. Thank you very much for that. Mike Neighbor with $20. He says, "You know I love you." Mike, you are also an awesome guy, and I thank you very much for your support, and I thank you very much for your friendship. It means a lot to me, and the $20 means a lot to me too. But you know what? Friendship is worth more than money, in my opinion. So the fact that you guys are being really, really generous. And you were so generous to both Jonny and I on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified. That has totally blown both of us away, how much you guys donated to us just on that one day. It was amazing. And, we still can't get over it. And it really does mean the world to both of us. I don't know if Jonny is going to make it into the chat here, but he might. And if he does, then, that's just going to be great to see him as well. But I'm fairly confident I can speak for both of us that it means so much to us that you support us and that you love the content that we put out there, and you... and you're generous with your money as well. I mean, we never ask for donations for the most part, unless, we really have to, if there's like a specific thing. Like, I know a few years back, I needed a replacement monitor station, and I said, "Hey guys, can you help me out?" And you guys, within 24 hours, had given me the money that I needed to get one. And it's still here, and it still works, and it enables me to do this show every week. So thank you so much for your generosity. And Ken Moss with $10 and Just Bob with $10 as well. Good grief. I haven't even started, guys. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. We have 31 people here, which is crazy. I think this is almost a record. I think our record stands at 40. So if we could actually, guys in the chat, if you could go and tell people to get your butts into this show and get us over 40, that would be incredible. That would be amazing. So the chat is flying, and I'm going to try and get to all of your questions. This is the first of a string of Studio One version 5 live shows. I am also going to do some more content on Presonus, because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about Presonus, and that is cool. I do have an overview video out on my channel, which I hope you've been able to go and watch. If you haven't, go and check it out. I'm going to do some live streams, maybe not just on Sundays, but on other days as well, where I'm going to go over the Presonus, and because I know there's a lot of misunderstandings out there about what it is and what you get and how much it costs and a whole bunch of other scenarios that you guys really care about before, you know, going in and purchasing the a membership to the Sphere. So I am definitely going to cover those. But that said, if you have questions, even tonight, about Presonus, you can put them in the chat, and I will try and get to as many as I can. As well as any questions that you've got about Studio 1.5, I'll try and get them as well. Now, Sean Aaron was the first one in the door tonight, and he came in straight with a question. So I'm going to get to his question first, and then I will work my way through everybody else. So I'm going to try and cram in as much as I can into 1 hour as possible. But if I miss your questions or if I don't get your questions by the end of the show, please email me, Jonny@jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk, and just, you know, put the subject as Sunday Night Live and then put what your question was, and I will try and get to it next week. Okay? In fact, I will, if you email me your question, if I missed it, I will prioritize it for next week. I'll check my email, make sure I have a list of questions that you guys didn't get answered, and I'd be happy to do that. So, Sean Aaron, if you're still here, and I hope you are, your question was to do with sidechain compression as it relates to doing voiceovers over a music bed, which you're doing. I don't know whether you're doing that for like a podcast or some kind of radio production or something like that, or you're trying to create that kind of effect. In which case, there is a really, really, really straightforward way to do it. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now in Studio 1.5. It was already pretty easy before, but now it's kind of even easier, I think. I set up a little example here just before I hit go live for doing the live stream, just to make sure I could set this up in less than 30 seconds. And it is entirely possible to set this up in under 30 seconds. Now, here's the caveat that goes with that, and I'm going to get into the demonstration in just a minute, but when you're recording your voice over your music bed and you're wanting to use the sidechain compression, it doesn't respond to you live in real time necessarily, but you will see it when you will hear it when you play it back, and it will respond how you want it to. But when you're actually talking over the music bed, it won't automatically duck as you're talking. It doesn't do it in real time like that. But yeah, it does. The end result gives you what you want. I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so let's get over to Studio One. Here we go. So we are now in Studio One, and I have one of my songs that I've just brought Paper Deity in from my 2016 EP belonging to Tomorrow, and I just pre-recorded, just before we started, a little piece of dialogue here, and I'm going to play you this, and then I will maybe record a fresh sample so you can see exactly what I mean by it's not going to duck as you record, but the end result will give you the same. But before I play, in fact, no, let me play the example first, and then I'll show you how you set it up. Well, hello, good evening. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. This is Jonny Lipsham here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk, and welcome to tonight's very special Studio 1.5 live show. Alright, so that gives you kind of the idea And I've kind of maybe exaggerated things just a wee bit so that you can very definitely hear how it ducks, how it works. So here's how it works. So the first thing I have is I have an EQ, and that really is just to clean up a little bit of the this stereo track. But the main meat and potatoes here is the compressor. So the compressor, the brand new glorious, look at this, glorious GUI for the brand new Studio One 5 compressor. So basically I have it pretty much slamming. And you know, these are not normal compression settings, but the thing is here, we are wanting the vocal track to turn down the music bed dramatically when the vocal track is speaking, for want of a better phrase. So whenever you have audio on this track here, the compressor is going to slam the music bed. And this send here, this pre-fader send to the compressor is going to do this. So the way you set this up is you set up your settings. I have a pretty fast attack and sort of medium slowish release. And then I have a 37 millisecond 37 dB threshold. And then I have 20:1 ratio. So I'm absolutely slamming the daylights out of this guy. And it's turning it down by about 25-26 dB, as you saw there when I played the track. And so the thing that you need to set up is this guy over here. So since you've only got 2 tracks, you've only got one option here. So I've called this track Me, because I'm the one doing the voiceover. And I have this checked here, and that automatically creates this little send here. And what this is doing is the compressor is being triggered by the audio on the Me track. And it is not turning down Me, it is turning down the music bed. It's compressing the music bed every time the audio from the Me track passes through the compressor. And this is you know, kind of an old technique that goes back to maybe the late 1940s maybe. And it was done with hardware compressors back then, but you know, we do it with a plugin this way. And we call this Sidechain Compression. And in Studio One 4.5, we created this little sidechain filter feature here into the compressor. It's now available in pretty much every compressor in Studio One. So that includes the Fat Channel, that includes the Tri-Comp, that includes the multiband dynamics. They all have this sidechain feature. And any channels or effect sends or buses that you have in your song are selectable. So you can have this, let's say this music bed can be triggered by a whole bunch of different things that you've got going on. So if in your case, Sean Aaron, if you have 2 vocal tracks, you can basically just duplicate. Let me speak properly. You can duplicate this channel, including its sidechain compressor, and you'll have Me and Me Too, or Sean and Jonny, for example, and both our voice tracks would trigger the compressor on the music bed. And it turns it down really quite dramatically. So all of this is set up automatically. So basically the only thing you need to do is just choose which track you want as the trigger. So in this case it's Me, but if we had more channels, then you could select them. And you can have as many as you want, or as many that are available in your song to do that, and it will duck the music bed. So if you've got lots and lots of different things going on, and they're all triggering the music bed, it can get a little bit choppy, a little bit messy. But if you've got like just a couple of voice tracks doing it, then it's perfect for you. So, you know, if you've got yourself and one other person and you're kind of like doing a podcast, and you've got this music bed and you want to make sure that the music bed is being ducked every time one of you talks, then this is the way to do it. So I hope that answers that question. I'll play this again just a little bit, and I'll show you what I've got on the the voice track actually is a little bit of, excuse me, a little bit of EQ. I've got a high pass filter at 121, and then I'm pulling out 500, a couple of dB, and then a bit of 159 just to clean up the low and low mids of the voice track. And then I have a limiter on here as well. This is the other kind of key component to getting that kind of broadcast sound, is a limiter. So I'm setting the ceiling to -1. I could set the threshold to the same. It doesn't really matter that terribly much, but if you have these two kind of more or less the same, and then you just turn up the gain here until you see some gain reduction. Normally with a limiter, I'm dealing with a limiter on the post of the master fader if I'm sending out a draft mix, and I'm only looking for like 1 to 1.5 dB of limiting. Well, in a voiceover situation, you are probably looking for a lot more, maybe 5, 6, 7 or more dB of limiting, and you're driving pretty hard into this to get that kind of broadcast quality sound. And also, you don't have to worry about, you know, large changes of dynamics when you're speaking, because the limiter will control all of that. So, you know, if one of you gets excited and the volume level goes up quite a bit, then the limiter is just going to smack that down. And it means that you're not going to slam any broadcast limiters, let's say, if you're uploading this to Spotify as a podcast or something like that. Okay, so let's just play this, and I will open up the compressor so you can kind of see what is happening with the compressor here, okay? Well, hello, good evening. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. This is Jonny Lipsham here from jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk, and welcome to tonight's very special Studio 15 live show. And the thing is, you can have this release a lot slower than that if you want to. If you think the music bed is coming up a little bit too fast, you can just, you know, kind of slow it down a bit. Well, hello, good evening. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. This is Jonny Lipsham here from jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk, and welcome to tonight's very special Studio 15 live show. There you go, that's probably a little bit more natural, doesn't pump quite so much, and it's not quite so aggressive. So I hope that helps. And we're back on camera now, so I can see you guys. And I just need to hop over here, back over to the chat. So I hope that has helped. I don't know if you're still here, Sean Aaron, but I hope that has helped. Just let me know if it has. You guys have been chatting away. Let's go back and see. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold developing, so I may be snuffling and snorting a little bit throughout the show, and I apologize, but not a whole lot I can do about that. So we have 36 people here, which is amazing. Not quite up to the 40. If we could go past 40, we'd break the record. By the way, other thing to announce, and I probably should have announced this up front, but we have now, on this channel, we have gone past 4,000 subscribers. And I'm so thrilled at that. That is awesome. That is amazing. I never thought I would get this far in the time that I have. I mean, particularly as, you know, the first couple of years of running this channel, I didn't really do a lot. But when I started doing Studio One videos, and particularly when I started doing overviews of Studio One releases, like brand new versions like Studio One 3.5, I did that whole series for Studio One 3.5 and the features that came out with that. You guys jumped all over that, and you started becoming subscribers, and you started becoming a part of the regular crowd for this show. And I'm so thrilled to have all of you here. It is awesome. I'm beyond stoked at passing 4,000 subscribers really, really quickly. It was only the beginning of, I think it was the beginning of this year that we passed, maybe it was the end of last year, we passed 3,000 subscribers. So to now be past 4,000 subscribers and heading on to 4,100 is amazing. I'm so amped about that. It's wonderful. Thank you so very much, everybody. So Antonio Duarte is somebody that is a name I'm not familiar with. So I'm very glad you're here, Antonio. Welcome, and I hope that you will be a regular on my show at 6 p.m. Central Time every Sunday. That would be great. If you're back here next week, that would be awesome. And also, Arin Karamian is from Armenia. Wow. I think you are my first Armenian on the show, other than my friend Vacha, who is Armenian, but he lives in Australia. And it's 3 a.m. You are amazing, staying up until 3 a.m. to check out my show. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it a lot. So let's see, who do we have? Who else do we have? We have Tim Talks Audio is here. Tim is awesome. Kind of goes without saying that he's awesome, to be honest. Thomas is here from the Philippines. Sean Aaron, Just Bob is here. John Lake. Hey, John, good to see you. And, of course, Mike Neighbor is here. Ken Moss is here. Bobby Booth. And no show is complete without him here. Collie Ruff One says hello. Hello to you. Thank you for coming. Second Tony Stringer is here. Frank Wagner is here as well. And Bill Shepherd. And we're up to date with everybody that's here. And Antonio says, hello, I just joined Sphere. And I'm planning on getting a new system, SSD, clean install of all Presonus software. How big an SSD for system and all things Presonus do you think I need? If you've got the money for it, I would recommend a 1 terabyte drive. Seems like a lot, but you know what? If you're having a lot of applications on your system, then it is definitely worth having. Now, if all you have is just Studio One and Notion and the add-ons, now the add-ons get stored in various locations, but Studio One, Notion, they don't take a ton of room. But, you know, if you've got other things like universal control for Presonus hardware, or if you've got screen capture software, or, you know, you have to kind of take into account what software you have on your system. And here's one piece of advice I will give you, because I see this quite a lot. And that is, do not write your songs to your system drive. Even if it is an SSD, just don't do it. Have your songs being saved, your user data, that's your songs and everything that goes with your songs, saved to a second drive, preferably an SSD. And if you can't get a secondary SSD, then certainly I would recommend a fast spinning hard drive, something that spins at 7,200 RPM. Avoid 5,400 RPM drives like some of the Western Digital Blue or the green one. They are slow 54 spinning drives. They are not fast enough for processing audio in real time and processing through plugins and latency compensation and all of that. They just won't do it fast enough, and you will end up with CPU spikes, dropouts, and all those kind of things not being caused by Studio One, but being caused by how fast your drive can read and write at the same time. So you either need a 7,200 spinning hard drive or a second SSD, and that is where your songs are and everything else. So your applications on the system drive and your songs on the other drive is what I would recommend. And if you have sample libraries or loop libraries, you can chuck them onto the same drive as your songs, or even a completely different drive if you want to. So long as Studio One knows where those are coming from and you have Studio One pointed to those, then you'll be good. And everything should be fine with that. So I hope that answers your question. And now that it is like 3:25 in the morning for you, you can go to bed. I hope that answers your question. You do not have to stick around. We are too short of 40 here. We've got 38, which is awesome. I love that. Mike Neighbor says, if I make a template in version 5, where does my songwriting partner need to put it in his files for it to show up in the new song list in Studio One? You would have to send, if you are using Presonus Sphere, for example, you'll need to send them that template. And then they can create that. Or you send them the song file, and then they save that as a template in Studio One. So you could send them the song file via Dropbox or something else, or you could do it by Presonus Sphere, just by adding file and then choose file, browse to it, and send it that way. And then the person that you are collaborating with in the workspace can then bring that in, and then they will have that template, and then they can save that song file as a template. And then you both have the same template, basically. So you can do it that way if you're using Presonus Sphere. If you're not using Presonus Sphere, then you can do it by Dropbox. Just send the song as a template. You don't even have to send it as a template. Just send it as a song, and then they can save it as a template in Studio One, and then they can, you can both work that way. So you can do it via Dropbox or WeTransfer, or like I say, you can do it in the workspace in Presonus Sphere. Just Bob says, hit the like button, folks. 11 likes, 31 here. We have 37 people and 18, which is pretty good. That's a fairly good ratio. But yes, if you are here and you're watching and you're liking what you are seeing, hit the like button, please. That would be greatly appreciated. But Mike Neighbor, that is a great question. Well done. Thank you. Bobby Booth says, still debating on joining the Sphere. The cool thing about Presonus Sphere is that you not only get Studio One 5 Professional and Notion, but you also get all of the add-ons for both of those products. So you get the entire orchestral package and all of the other packages for Notion, which is great. I mean, even if you're not into scoring, they're there and they don't cost you anything. But you also get Studio One 5 Professional, as I say, but you also get all of the add-ons. So you get the Fat Channel Collection Volume 1. You get the CTC1, the Pro Console Shaper, and you also get the Presonus Symphony Orchestra. You get all of the Spark collection. You get all of the loops and samples. You pretty much get every add-on. It's not pretty much. You do get every add-on for Studio One that is available in shop.presonus.com. You get those. And here's the cool thing. Presonus Sphere is just so much bigger than just, hey, it's just another way to get Studio One, right? Well, yeah, it is, but you know, as I say, you get Notion and you get all of the libraries with Notion and you get all of the add-ons and everything else, but you also get access to the workspaces so that you can collaborate with people inside a Presonus system rather than, a third-party Dropbox or something else. You have something that is Presonus branded that you know and trust. And you also get access to all the additional content. There's a whole bunch of masterclasses that my colleagues Gregor and Joe have done that are just for the members of Presonus Sphere. There's also live streams that are, I think Gregor has done one already. And he's going to be doing some more, and Joe Gilder is going to be doing some more. And there's other exclusive content as well that will be coming in coming months as we go through this thing. This is kind of only just got started, and there's just there's so much stuff there already. But as I say, we're only just started. We've only just started fleshing this thing out. Who knows what there will be inside Presonus Sphere in 12 months' time. But here's the thing. If you have Studio One 5 Professional through your subscription to Presonus Sphere, through your membership, when Studio 1.6 comes out, whenever that's going to be, who knows? I don't know. But whenever that comes out, you will automatically get it deposited into your account. You don't have to pay anything extra. You don't have to wait. It will just be there. You know, pretty much on launch day, boing, there it is in your account. That's pretty much how it's going to work. And so you will always get the 0.0 releases deposited in your accounts before everybody else. Well, you'll get it on launch day, but you know what I mean. It'll be instantaneous on launch day. You won't have to go hunting for it. You won't have to go finding it. It will be there in your Sphere account. So, you don't have to pay any extra for that. You just get all the 0.0 upgrades every time. So, Studio 1.5, as we have now, Studio 1.6, Studio 1.7, Studio 1.8, Studio 1.9, Studio 1.10, wherever it goes from there. So, I hope that helps you with that decision. Let's see. Jonathan Bravo is here. He says, can you focus on the perform view? You mean the show page? Yeah. If you watch my overview video, I actually reshot. I reshot the whole show page section of that video. It's actually quite funny, quite entertaining. If you watch my overview, when you get to the show page, just before I switch over to it, if you look at the clock in the bottom corner, down here somewhere, watch what the time says. It says like 6:40 something, and then suddenly it jumps to 10 o'clock at night, because I had to reshoot the whole section on the show page because something went screwy with my audio. I don't know what happened, but suddenly my voice went like a Dalek. And so I was just like, oh, great, I'm going to have to redo that. So I reshot that whole section. It actually turned out much better than I had done it originally. But yes, we can take a look more at the show page. Just give me 1 second to go and get that set up for you. If I go back to the start page, go back to show. Which one do I want to do? This one. I'm just waiting for it to load up. Here we go. 1 second. Alrighty, so here we go. Show page. Here it is. The show page. Show page is fantastic. And as I say, I kind of went into this in a little bit more detail in my overview video. So I'm not going to spend too terribly long on this because I want to be able to get to some extra questions that are in the chat. But suffice to say is that over here is your set list, and you can add to your set list by pressing the plus sign here. And these are my songs set up for a 6-song short little performance. And this little indicator here next to each song gives instructions to the perform view when we get to it, whether to continue on into the next song or stop at the end or loop the song again. So if you decide you just want to go back over that song again, you can do. And you can have them all set up independently so that they have a different playback mode. Then here's the start time, the length of each individual song, and the tempo. And then there's this pause thing. This pause thing is very, very cool, because what this means is between each song, you can have Studio One just basically be silent whilst you're engaging with your audience. So let's say after the first song, you want to talk to your audience for like 30 or 40 seconds. Then you can just set this to 30 or 40 seconds. And when you're in perform mode, you don't have to worry about having to reach over and find the mouse and find the play button and get going again. Your attention can be totally on interaction with the audience and then starting the next song. And of course, the cool thing is that you can rehearse with this in perform mode at home, so that you kind of work on, how long you're going to talk for, and just practice getting it super slick so that you finish talking exactly when the next song starts in your backing track player. So these are all the players. So these can be actual real people, or they can be virtual instruments, or they can be a backing track. So in this case here, I've got a backing track and I've got a couple of songs pulled in. And obviously I'd have backing tracks for all of these. And then I have a virtual instrument here. And in this case, this is Presonus XT, but as you can see here, I've got different patches. So my keyboard is going to be connected to my interface through the Midi in, Midi out. And the main output is going to go into my PA, and everybody can hear it. And I can just sit and I can concentrate on playing. I don't have to worry about changing the sounds ready for the next song, because Presonus XT is going to load up the next patch for each song. So I've got acoustic piano here, I've got a Hammond organ thing, and then I've got a Wurlitzer electric piano, then I've got piano again, then we're back to the Wurlitzer, and then we finish off with the strings from the Presonus Symphony Orchestra. And then I've got different settings for different songs for EQ and compression. So I've got a vocal preset here. Then this one's a little bit different. This song here has a slapback delay built into it. And then this one here, the dreamy one, just has lots of reverb on it. And then, of course, I've got a sax player as well. He's going to provide some obligatos. And I've got a compressor and EQ and a mix verb set up for him, and he just has the same setup all night. He's like totally fine. And then of course you can have a limiter in your post section, so you can make sure that the volume level is nice and full, nice and loud, going out to your PA. And you can bring any of these kind of things in. You can bring in pedal board if you want to for your guitar, if you've got a guitar amp sim. And you can put different amp sims on here if you're dealing with a guitar player. So you can have different guitar amps, different guitar presets, and different pedal board settings. You can do all of that and save them as a patch. It's really, really easy to do. And as I say, in my overview video, I show you a bit of how to actually go about bringing in different patches. And then once you've got your show all set up and you're ready to go, then you can hit this button here and it takes you to this screen. This is your kind of performance screen, and these little knobs here and sliders and buttons, these can all be mapped to a controller device like the fader port 8 or the fader port 16, and you can assign these faders to your different instruments, your different players. So you can set the balance, and you can set the panning, and you can do all of that kind of stuff from on here. And you can have different settings for different songs. So if you want the sax louder in one song than the other, because it's meant to be more of a solo feature, you can do that on any of those songs. And the cool thing is, if you watch here, I've got this set up on the keys player is my focus at the moment. Watch what happens to these patches. So the first song is on the acoustic piano. If I click the next one, see, it's moved on to the next patch. And the next one. And then we're back. And then we're back. And then we're on to this one. And so all the patch changes happen automatically. All I need to do when I'm ready to start my show is hit play. And it'll play the backing tracks, and musicians will be all in sync and everything. So that's really cool. And then when you've got to the end of your show, you can just exit out of that like that. And that's how that's done. So I hope that that answers that question. Hope that that was helpful. I think that's Jonathan's question, wasn't it? Yes, it was. So Jonathan, I hope that that's helped you. Ken is talking to my neighbor. Let's see. Frank is talking to my neighbor as well. Tim says extreme compression. Yeah, I kind of exaggerated it quite a wee bit there on my demonstration. Let's see. Any questions? Let's see. Actually, we're 39. We're one shy of 40. I don't know if we actually passed 40 as I went through that. I don't know about that. Bobby says, the only thing is that if version 6 does come out, any songs that I have done will not go back to the version that I have bought last. Don't worry about that, because they will... the beauty about 0.0 versions, and this has always been the way with Studio One, is that they install to their own folder within the Presonus folder. So I have version 4 and in fact, I have version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and version 5 all side by side on this computer. So I have songs in each one of those versions of Studio One. And so, yes, it does mean that, you know, a song that I've done in version 4, if I open it in version 5, I cannot open it in version 4 anymore. But that's okay, because what you can do is if you open it in version 5, but you want to keep it in both versions, then just retitle it. Just rename it in version 5 and just call it song title brackets V5. Save. Now you have two distinct versions of that song, a version 5 version and a version 4 version. And that will always be the way going forward. So whether we get onto version 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, version 24 of Studio One, I imagine it's always going to be this way because it's been this way since the start. So that is something you I think, don't need to worry about. And we have gone past 40, ladies and gentlemen. We had, for a second there, we had 43 people. That is a Sunday Night Live record. Thank you, everybody, so very much. I really appreciate all of you guys being here. You guys are amazing. So, Sonic is here. Sonic Tsunami Production says, oh wow, new features. My first DAW had a live performance mode like this, Mixcraft. It was really cool, but never could figure out how to get it working predictably. Yeah, Mixcraft did have a little kind of performing thing in it, but it was never really that good. I agree. It was never really that intuitive or user-friendly. And the thing that Presonus have done with Studio One, and including this whole performance thing, is that in the same way that the project page and the song page have a symbiotic relationship, they work really, really well together. One can interact with the other really, really well. So the song page, the show page can interact with all the others. So you can send an entire song. Let's say you have recorded an entire album in Studio One using the song page, and you've mixed all of the songs, and you're really happy with them. But what you would like to do is use everything as a backing track for each song. You can send that song to the show page. Let's say all you want is that whole song as a backing track minus the lead vocal. You can do that. You just mute the vocal and you send to show page, and there it is. And so you can just do that with each song. So you can very quickly set up a show of 15, 20 songs that you have recorded and mixed in Studio One very, very easily. And it will mix it down, and it's really, really easy to do. And I'm going to do some extra videos on this very subject because the show page is so huge. It's kind of worth having a little video series all of its own, I think. So I'm going to be doing that over the next few weeks. I'm going to make a bunch of videos on that. So yeah, I hope that helps you. Sonic says, yes, loving it. I've enjoyed the company around here. Summer is going great here. Really enjoying it. Well, I'm very glad you're enjoying it. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. Bobby Boo says, now can I go? Yeah, you can, only if you're going to go and make that purchase of a membership for Sphere. No, I'm only kidding. Of course you can go. You can go anytime. So we have 43 people here and 24 likes, and that is awesome. So this is a record-breaking show, folks. I'm really, really happy. Sonic asks, can this be used for a live loop performance like you'd use Looper? Well, you can loop a song, but you cannot loop a section of a song yet. I would imagine that might come further down the line, but I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. Even if I did know, I couldn't tell you, obviously. But I genuinely, at this point, don't know. But it is a great question. And what I suggest you do is you go to answers.presonus.com and have a look there. See if that feature request has already been made. It may well have been. And if it has, go and vote it up. The more votes it gets, the more chance there is that the development team in Hamburg will pick this up and run with it and develop it and add it into a future version of Studio One. So that would be my recommendation. Go and make a feature request. If it's not there, make your feature request there, and then I would suggest go and grab some like-minded friends and say, hey, see this feature request of mine, please vote it up. The more votes it gets, the more chance that the development team will grab it and will do something great with it. So, yeah, at the moment, you cannot loop just a section of a song, but you can loop an entire song. That's easy to do. There's a loop button for that. Mike Neighbor says, with the exception of uploading to Sphere by exporting or creating stems, is there a way to upload to Sphere by dragging events to the browser? No, not as yet, because the Sphere is not integrated into the browser. Whoops, smacking the mic. Yeah, the Sphere, Presonus Sphere, and the browser in Studio One are not connected. Again, that would be something to make as a feature request. To be honest, hopefully that will come later down the line. We'll have to see. This whole Presonus Sphere membership thing is brand new. So you're going to have to, it's kind of in its infancy. There's, I'm sure, going to be a whole ton of development over the coming weeks, months, years. This is something that we are in for the long haul. And I can be pretty confident about saying that. 911 a day says, can I ask, is there a trusted site or forum to connect with other songwriters you recommend? I can, actually. And there are plenty of websites that are great for hooking up with other songwriters. If you're on Facebook, there is a song called Songwriting for Studio One Users Group. I think that's what we called it. Mike, please can you go and look that group up for me and just confirm what the exact name of that group is, because I can't remember. I would appreciate it if you could do that. That would help me out a lot, Mr. Mike Neighbor. But yeah. That's definitely a great group. Jonny Guy and myself, we managed that. Sorry, I was kind of reading the chat. That's why I kind of stopped there for a minute. Sorry. Yeah. Jonny Guy and I managed that, and we have a songwriting specific live stream show that the two of us do together called Songwriting Simplified over on the Home Studio Trainer YouTube channel on Wednesdays at this time. So it's Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Central, which would be midnight UK and 1 a.m. Central European time. And if you're in Armenia, that would be kind of like this, the 3 a.m. kind of time again. So yeah, you can go over and check that out. And we talk a lot about songwriting in Studio One and using the tools that are available to you in Studio One for songwriting. Jesse Martinez says, hello, sir. Thank you for your class and your help. Jesse, you are very welcome, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate you. If you have not subscribed, then please do hit the subscribe button right now. That would be a great help. And if you like this show and you like my videos, hit the like button as well. That would also be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Let's see. What is the history of the name Presonus? That is a terrific question, Just Bob. Well, sonus is a Greek word for sound, and basically means before sound, so pre-sonus. It's a kind of cool, catchy little name. The company was started by Jim Odom and Brian Smith. They were university graduates in electronics and audio engineering. And Jim Odom has a bunch of platinum and gold records to his name as a songwriter, as an artist. and as a mix engineer and a producer. And so they started Presonus in Jim's garage. And the first product that they built was a device that basically allowed for digital control of analog hardware. And it was the first unit of its kind. And Jim basically built it to solve a problem that studios that he worked in had. And he managed to get a patent for it, and it's a terrific invention. And that was the first product. And the company has grown from there. You know, starting with, I think, maybe a handful of people. Rick Nakvi, the global vice president of sales, was, I think, employee number 4 or 5 or something like that. So he was right there at the start of the company in 1995. And of course, they're Baton Rouge based in Louisiana. And now it's a global phenomenon of incredible hardware products. And of course, we have Studio One and Notion as the software side of things. And so now we have kind of 3 parts of the company. We have Presonus Audio Electronics, which is the US-based mothership company, the umbrella company. But you also have Presonus Software, which is based in Hamburg, and they deal with Studio One, Notion development, as well as universal control and firmwares and all of that kind of stuff for the Presonus hardware. They deal with all of that. And then there's Presonus Europe, which is based in County Cavan, Ireland. And technically, I am employed by Presonus Europe, but my line managers are in Presonus Audio Electronics. So there you go. There's a little bit of the potted history. If you go to the Presonus website, presonus.com, there's a section there that's I think the link is called Our History, and you can go and look there, and that's actually recently been revamped, so there's a whole bunch of stuff there on the history of the company in a lot more detail than I just went into. So I hope that helped. Let's see, what else do we have? Rich says, I just sold Studio One Pro for Pro Tools because Studio One's UI is so overwhelming. Is Studio One 5 any better? I'm not quite sure what you mean by it's overwhelming. You're going to have to unpack that for me a little bit more and explain what you mean by what you mean by overwhelming. Personally, as somebody that used Cubase for 30 years and I used Pro Tools for about 10 years as well, I would say of all of the GUIs, the graphical user interfaces, or even just the basic user interface of the whole product, I would say Studio One is the fastest, the easiest, and it gets out of the way. That's what I love about Studio One, is it just totally gets out of the way, so that you can concentrate on being creative. You can concentrate on making music. You can concentrate on mixing. You can concentrate on mastering. You can concentrate on what's coming out of your speakers. You're not worried so much about what is on the screen. It totally gets out of the way, and there are shortcuts for just about everything under the sun. And, you know, the fact that the Studio One is built around drag and drop as its principal UI, I think is fantastic. I mean, let's just say you want to create a bus channel in Studio One. It's so quick. You just right click. You choose your channels that you want to bus together. Then you just right click and choose the option add bus for selected channels. Done. Just like that. With Pro Tools, there's a lot more steps you have to go through. You have to create the auxiliary channel. Then you have to connect all of the inputs and all of the outputs up. You know, and it takes a lot longer. And yet somehow Pro Tools is the... Oh, sugar bumps. Is the industry standard. How did that happen? You know what I mean? And, you know, the same... It's so clunky. And then Cubase is clunky. And Cubase is bloated because... I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Cubase has code in its code base going back to 1989 that's still there. What they do is they they build a stratigraphy, effectively. They put, here's Cubase version 1, and then they just basically lay it up, each successive layer. Now we're on Cubase 10, and then of course we've got Cubase SX, and we've got Cubase LE, and Cubase AI, and a few other Cubases with extraneous letters after the alphabet added to them. And now we're on Cubase 10. So there's all of this code under here that's no longer necessary, but it's still there. Presonus don't do that with Studio One. Studio One version 1 was launched in 2009. And then in 2015 with Studio One 3.0, it was a complete rewrite of the code base. So it's super lean, it's essentially it's a 10-year-old product, but it's a 5-year-old code base. So it's from that point of view, it's a lot faster, because processors not having to dig through layers of code to get things done. So there you go. I hope that helps. Let's see. Question: what's the holdup on MIDI record capture? Every major DAW has that feature. Really just want to know why it's being ignored. Would you have any ideas? Question from Steve Clisby. Thank you for your question, Steve. It's a good one. It's not being ignored. Here's the thing with development for Studio One. I have to be careful what I say, but fundamentally here is the thing. We have a feature request system called answers.presonus.com, and there's a Studio One feature request thread there, and you can add your feature request there. And when they get lots of upvotes, then the chances are pretty good that the development team in Hamburg are going to go through that list, and they're going to go, yeah, we'll have that, we'll have that, we'll have that, we'll have that, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. But here's the thing. Those things have to be fitted into an already existing development roadmap. And you will find that that is the same for Avid when they develop Pro Tools, Steinberg when they develop Cubase. You'll find that is exactly the same for the guys at BandLab who are developing what is left as Sonar. And you'll find that that's exactly the same for any other DAW developer. They have a roadmap for development. And so feature requests are things that can be added into a specific focus for a specific version. And so, I mean, Studio One 4.6, we added a whole bunch of, I think, 20 or 30 or so of the most requested features. And that was into one version of Studio One. And pretty much version 5, one of the most frequently requested things was some kind of way to use Studio One Live in a live context. So we did that. We built the show page. And then there were lots of requests. Hey, it's about time we updated the native plugins. They're a bit tired looking and a bit tired sounding. So let's do that. And so we did. And so that's kind of how it works at Presonus. Presonus listen to their customer base, and they listen to the kind of things that they want. Now, this has been highly requested. This whole thing of retrospective MIDI record has been requested for a long time. Yeah, it has. It may well come up in a future version of Studio One, because these things have to be slotted into various points on the roadmap. And that's kind of how it works in development. So let's see. What else do we have here? Federico says, the upgrade price for loyal Studio One users should be less. I've been using it from version 3 and had to pay almost half the price for the full software to upgrade. Well, here's the thing with that. Again, I'm going to have to be careful what I say. But at the end of the day, software development is expensive. It is not cheap to develop a big piece of software like Studio One. Studio One is huge. And it's complicated. And it takes time. And it takes research. You know, it's not just about, oh, let's just code something and chuck it into Studio One. No. There has to be strategy. There has to be a plan. There has to be a focus. Otherwise, what you end up with is a version of Studio One that is just a hodgepodge of this over here, that over there, that over there, that over there, which makes the software unusable. So, researching new things and innovating takes time and it costs money. It actually costs a lot of money. I mean, not just for actually doing the research and actually maybe even purchasing licenses for third-party things, which I don't know. Maybe that does happen. I don't know. In order to make Studio One work. You know, from the development point of view. But, you know, the development team work hard. In my opinion, they deserve to be paid for their hard work. The company has to make a profit in order to be able to reinvest back into research and development so that all of those nice feature requests, such as the one that Steve listed about retrospective Midi record, can be developed and can be brought in to a new version of Studio One. That costs money, that costs time. Company need to be profitable in order for that to happen. So that is why Studio One costs what it does. But here's the thing. Compare the cost for upgrades and updates of something like Cubase or Pro Tools compared to what Presonus offers. I think you'll find that it's actually extremely reasonably priced at Presonus, if not a little bit on the cheap side, to be honest. So, you know, I've been using Studio One for 6 years. It is my main DAW. In this room, I run a profitable business. I record people in here. I mix people's projects in here. And I use Studio One to do that. So I make money. And what I do with that money is a portion of that money gets reinvested into hardware and to software that I need to buy in order to keep moving forward and to keep developing my mixing skills, to keep on top of development so that I am always current. So, you know, that's kind of where it is. It's expensive, and I basically have to invest. And so, you know, if you're a loyal Studio One user, that's wonderful. That's great. And, you know, Presonus definitely appreciates loyal customers. Absolutely, for sure. No doubt about it. And that's why the upgrade paths are so cheap. And you know what? If you purchase an upgrade, you know, within a certain period before a release, like we have with Studio One 5, there was a 90-day grace period. 90 days. I don't know of any software development company that does such a massive grace period. And so that means a whole bunch of people get grandfathered into the next version for free because they purchased it within a certain point. And I think that's incredibly generous. And $150 for an upgrade is not that expensive when you consider the fact that, you know, upgrades come out, you know, within maybe a 3-year period. You know, there's maybe a 3-year release cycle, more or less. So $150 over 3 years is not a lot. You know, work it out. How much is that per month? How much is 150 divided by 3 years per month? It's not a lot per month. You know, if you work it out that way, it's not that expensive. Anyway, I'm going to get off my my little soapbox there. Ken says, I've been a customer since 3.5 and bought Pro and bought PSO, sorry, and the Empire Metal Pack, and owned the full fat channel collection, but I didn't buy the fat channel. Half of it was free. Yep. And you're still buying the Sphere. Good for you, Ken. Appreciate it. Frank says $149.99 is fair for now. If it goes above 200 down the room, as the music industry becomes less political like in the past, the price should stay low. Only time will tell. Well, it depends upon how profitable it is. I mean, you know, that's the key thing. 911 a day says, I've been a coder since I was 8 years old. I need to record this as a soundbite. Well said. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Federico says, thanks for the answer. I agree, and I know software development is expensive. Yeah, it is. So $149 is not really a lot when you consider we're only talking about you having to pay that for a .0 release. Everything else in between 5.0 and 6.0 is going to be free. And if anything is to go by, here's the thing. Between 4.0 and 5.0, there was something like 90 brand new features that were built into Studio One that mostly came from your feature requests that were done for free. They did not cost you anything. There's another way to think about it. Ski Jump Toes is here. Hello, I think you're brand new to my channel as well, so welcome. Says, I'm coming from Cubase and 5 activations with no dongle cannot be understated too. That's such a joyous freedom in comparison. I am so glad you brought that up. Getting rid of the dongle is a wonderful thing. I have no idea where mine is, actually. I think it might have got lost when I moved house a couple of years ago. I have no idea where it is. But like I said, I don't even have an installer for Cubase anymore. And I tell you, you see the passion I have for Presonus? And yeah, okay, I work for them now. Granted, but I've only been doing that for like 4 months. But you see the passion I have for Presonus and our products and everything else. I was like this about Steinberg for 30 years. And, you know, what changed me was the fact that Steinberg didn't really, my opinion, care about their customers quite so much anymore. And, you know, I was trying to engage with the company. I was trying to bring my ideas to the company. I was trying to help them. I was trying to support their user base. And, you know, I got kickbacks from the company. You know, they just kind of knocked me back. And I was, oh, okay. They gave me the cold shoulder a bit. And they didn't really appreciate what I was trying to do. And then when I bought Studio One, the first issue I had with Studio One, I posted it in the Presonus Studio One group on Facebook. And within about an hour, Rick Nakvi, Senior Vice President of Sales, responded to me and said, hey, we will get you sorted out. And within 24 hours, they'd got me sorted out with what I needed from the company. And Rick and I have been great friends ever since. It's just like a friendship, just right there. And as Mike says, I've always been passionate about Presonus. Yeah. It was, for me, it was like a Damascus Road experience. I went from being passionately Steinberg to passionately Presonus. Almost overnight. Not quite, but almost. And the thing that impressed me most was the fact that Rick Nakvi personally took care of my issue that I had with my copy of Studio One, and he got me a new license and got me squared away. And I have been, you know, with no further problems with Studio One ever since. And he went out of his way and did that. I think it was Thanksgiving that he did that, and totally went out of his way on Thanksgiving holiday to make sure that I got my license replaced. And that really, really impressed me. I was just like, wow, here's a company that really care about their customer base and will go out of their way to make sure that they have a great customer experience. I was just like, I like companies like that. So there you go. Do you think we could ever be able to bank through plugin parameter pages with external controllers? I believe only the fader ports can do this right now. Who knows? I have no idea. Maybe. You never know. Jerome is here. He says, all it takes more time to figure out errors for fixes. Try running a business. You will find needing revenue is essential. Great developers are not cheap. Bingo. Absolutely right. So there we go. We have overrun a little bit, but there are 38 people still in the room, and I'm really excited that there are so many people here. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And thank you to those that donated. Let me just go and quickly remind myself who they are. Bobby Booth, Mike Neighbor, Ken Moss, Just Bob, and I didn't see that one. 911 a day also donated $3. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all of your donations. You guys are amazing, and you're so generous. And we broke the record. We peaked at 43 viewers, which is awesome. That is the most we've had by quite a long way. I'm used to only having about 20 people here. So the fact that we have 43, 44 people is awesome. So next week, I promise, we will take a look at Presonus Sphere in a little bit more detail. And we'll take a look at some other stuff in Studio One 5. The show page has so much detail in it, and it's so incredibly useful that I'm probably going to make some videos on that as well. If you have any questions that I didn't get to tonight, please email me, Jonny at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. Man, my voice is going. And put the subject as Sunday Night Live, and put your question in there, and I will prioritize those questions next week, and I'll get your questions out first. So there you go. Thanks ever so much, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And right at the very end there, Jesse Martinez with $4.99. Thank you so much, Jesse. And he says, how's it going? I tell you, I have had a very busy few weeks leading up to the launch of Presonus Sphere and Studio One 5, but these past few days have been just great as well. I'm so amazed at all of you guys for coming tonight, and I'm so thankful for passing 4,000 subscribers, and I'm I'm beyond words. I'm so thrilled. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you all on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified over on Jonny Gibe's channel. That's the Home Studio Trainer channel, 6 p.m. Central Time. Wednesday, we'll be looking at Studio One 5 and songwriting tools and tips in Studio One 5 in a lot more detail. Then, and in between now and then, I will be making some more videos for you guys. I'll be covering more on the show page. I'll be covering more on Presonus Sphere and more on kind of some of the other incredible 60 and more brand new features in Studio One 5. Take care, folks. See you then. Good night, everybody.